Hey. So we're going to be talking about another foundational skill that I like to teach. I like to call this one middle, just because it makes the most sense to me. So what exactly is middle, and why should we consider teaching it to our dogs? Well, so I'm going to have a little video of Olive, one of the dogs that I work with, demonstrating how to play some of the games to encourage proper placement for middle, and just getting them used to actually tunneling underneath their human and in between feet. Sometimes that can be a little bit weird for dogs. Okay, so why middle? So it's a really great foundation skill to teach your dogs. It's also a really good stationary and also placement cue. So you guys know how stay is a placement cue, heel or side is a placement cue. You can also use middle as a placement cue. And that means you can use it in tighter spaces. So say if you're riding in an elevator, or you're in a long and narrow hallway, or you happen to be in a crowded space with a lot of people and you notice your dog is getting a little freaked out, or even if you're on a busy or narrow hiking trail and there's not really a lot of space for you to actually get off of the trail. There might be a little bit, but that can always be a placement cue. And for some dogs, it can actually be a sense of security because they trust you and they feel secure kind of having you as a buffer. You can also use it as a recall cue. So recall is a whole separate video, but a lot of times if your typical recall cue doesn't work, traditionally doesn't necessarily work for all dogs, and also a verbal cue doesn't necessarily work for all dogs either. So you can turn it into, well, your recall cue is middle because it's the verbal cue, but then it also means that they get a chance to play the game and do the behavior of middle. So when they hear the word middle, that is not only a recall cue, but it's a, hey, something fun is about to happen. So you better get your little booty over here as soon as you can. So it can also be helpful when you have to do any sort of cooperative care. So that could be vet appointments if they might need your dog to be stationary or something similar. So stationary for nail trims or blood draws or, hurt paw or something like that. So again, it's kind of shrouding your dog in some safety from you. So you're kind of being like the emotional blanket if your dog accepts you doing that. And so it's a great foundational skill that you can actually build upon. So if you're into trick training, or you want to elevate more of their skills, it's a really good foundation skill, because then you can teach your dog leg weaves, or you can even teach your dogs how to go backwards and then weave around your leg. There's all sorts of fun things that you can do with it. So, okay, let's talk about some of the troubleshooting. So the video shows that we want to turn it into a game first. So it can be a little alarming and a little uncomfortable for dogs to have humans standing over them or being asked to tunnel underneath them and be in between feet and underneath a human. So I would recommend you have an established relationship, established positive reinforced relationship with your dog first. Like, this isn't something that I would recommend doing with a brand new puppy you just brought home or a brand new rescue dog that you just adopted. So give the relationship time to develop, and then this is something that we can play. So if they're having trouble with it, it might not be a high enough food value item that they're going after, or you can even change it up and maybe even play this game with a toy. So instead of tossing the food rewards, you can toss the toy. So again, humans standing over a dog can be sometimes threatening, can be a little confusing, because dogs are like, what the heck are you doing? What is going on? They're not wanting to go in between your feet or anything like that. So if that's going on, some dogs don't really like this game, and that's okay. I would say probably 9 out of 10 dogs that I've played this game with, once they figure out it's a game and they're like, oh, this is actually kind of fun, they really do like playing it. So it's also something where if they're having a hard time, going in between your feet and underneath you, like a lot of times dogs will shoot around the side. What you can do is you can practice in a hallway, and then you have 1 foot on each side of the hallway, or you can practice between a wall and a chair, couch and coffee table, anything like that, where you kind of have to have like a little bit of a tunnel for them to go through. But this is also something that you can use where it's not only a placement cue and it's not just a recall cue or for cooperative care. Another thing I forgot to mention is that it can help you work on proximity training. So because it's an activity that has to be done very, very, very close to the human, so it helps the dog learn that cool, fun stuff happens in your space.
So this is Olive demonstrating middle. So this is actually something that she already knows how to do, and we've worked on this quite extensively. But as you can see, we're just doing a refresher. So I am holding the food rewards in my hand, and I am doing what is called luring. So if it looks like she's kind of lost and doesn't know where to go, I will put the treat directly in front of her nose and have her follow it and give her treats as she's following it. So you'll also notice that I am tossing the food and treats in front of me and behind me. So this is a game called Funder. So it's a combination of fun and under, which equals Funder. So a lot of dogs don't have typically any issues going underneath us or between our knees and feet, but some dogs do. So as you can see, Olive loves playing this game. But again, using the luring if she's getting a little stuck. And then you'll see here in just a moment, we're going to start working on, we'll switch from working on the movement part of the game, so the funder, to actually working on the stationary placement. So I'm going to lure her into position. So as you can see, she's a little confused, so that's okay. I'm just going to help her figure out where she's going. So lure her into position. Right there is where I want her. So then I'm just going to do rapid fire treating. And when you're working on middle, you can have your dog standing, doing a sit, or doing a down. It doesn't really matter. If your dog is struggling and having a hard time remaining in that position, you can actually put your arm down and gently in front of their chest just to encourage them not to move forward. So it helps them learn that that is actually the desired place you want them to be in. So it's kind of like a little bit of a body brace. And make sure to keep these sessions short and sweet. This can be kind of weird for some dogs to learn, so just keep them short and sweet and have fun.